to Contracting Conversation. My name is Scott Williams, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jim Valley. Today, we have the pleasure of talking with Cindy Baker, DAU's Learning Asset Manager for the Operational Contracting Credential, which is 024. Welcome, Cindy, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be back here to talk about another great DAU learning opportunity.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you. So to get us started this morning, Cindy, can you please describe, just in a general sense, the credential?
All right. Well, this credential, of course, being called the Operational Contracting Credential, is comprised of 5 assets altogether. So there are basically 5 online training courses that folks can take. Those assets are strategic sourcing overview, managing government property, difficult interactions, negotiating, and a special online training course we created just for this credential. That's CON 2310, and that's called Operational Contracting. So we created all of those, not necessarily all of them. We created specifically CON 2310, but we chose all of those learning assets with the thought in mind of what's needed for operational contracting. So strategic sourcing is needed, of course, when you're buying things like, let's say, furniture, right? We need to know where to go, what's your agency policy regarding that. So that online training course should help with understanding the concepts tied to that. Our working group that was formed for this credential, they also decided, hey, folks really need to understand government property better. So let's have them take a course on that. So that one was chosen. And then tied to skills needed for operational contracting, we have difficult interactions because sometimes, due to the fast pace of operational contracting, it's really important that folks focus on those kinds of skills when there's a lot of stress and pressure, and we can have difficult interactions with the various folks that were working across the military installation, and then of course negotiating to help them with that.
All right. Thanks, Cindy. So I know we did a podcast just on CON 2310. And so for those out there that want to know more about that, which is probably, I think, the most comprehensive course you have in the credential, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So fantastic. So hopefully those out there that are interested in that, please listen to that podcast. So something that many students want to know is, to get this credential, is there some type of assessment I need to take after I'm done with the courses within the credential?
Yes. So we do have a capstone assessment for the whole credential. That assessment was created based on the real world procurement scenario we created in CON 2310, the Operational Contracting Online Training course. So folks can defer to that scenario as they're going through the capstone assessment.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cindy.
Hey, Cindy, given that there's different kinds of contracting and everybody seems to have their own opinion on what operational contracting is, how did you define it for this credential?
That definitely came up with the working group. So at the very beginning, before we even started creating the curriculum for the credential, there was a working group formed at the DoD level with various very seasoned contracting professionals. And, they came up essentially with this definition of, it's contracting for installations, garrisons, posts, and bases. Its day-to-day operations are to procure fundamental supplies, services, construction, and architect engineer services on a military installation and in support of contingency operations. So that's the definition they came up with to help us focus on, okay, that's the focus of operational contracting, and then we're going to create the curriculum based off of that.
Great. Thanks, Cindy.
All right, Cindy. So I did operational contracting as my first base that I was assigned to when I was active duty. And so it kind of makes sense that a person in operational contracting at a base, this would be a great credential to take. So who is the target learner for this credential?
We talked about that a lot before we started creating the curriculum for the whole. We want to focus on those contracting professionals who have completed at least their contracting DWIA certification, as well as, hey, let's focus on the seasoned professionals who just need refresher training in operational contracting, because we always need our CLPs, right? But the first focus was on, let's make sure folks have completed their foundational learning with the DWIA certification. And we kind of discovered that along the way when we were working with the DoD working group. Some of the questions they had were actually things that are already covered in our DWIA classes, Con 1100, 1200, 1300, and 1400. So we realized, oh, we've already covered that content, from a foundational learning perspective in those classes. So, for this training, the purpose of this credential, we just kind of want to build on what they learned in their foundational.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cindy.
Hey, Cindy, my last question for you is you mentioned that the learning assets are all OLTs at the moment. Is there any possibility in the future for possibly a VILT type of instruction or even a live in-person type of instruction?
Yes. So that is something we talked about while we were developing the curriculum. Which direction do we go? Do we go online training? Do we provide any, possibility of instructor-led training? Ultimately, to complete the credential we settled on, we're going to initially provide this training through online training courses, but we do have on our radar, we want to provide live instruction. We think that would be a huge value added to different operational contracting organizations out there. So we do plan on either creating a workshop for this topic, or we're going to create a virtual instructor-led training course.
Great. It sounds exciting. Some good possibilities in the future. Thank you, Cindy.
Mhm.
All right, Cindy. So it sounds like, there's still growth that could possibly occur to this credential, which is life, right? So I personally think that operational contracting is probably one of the most important things. I know it kind of gets put under the table because we got systems contracting, which has all that money, but where it really comes down to supporting people right? They're in your face, right? They're on your base. And so operational contracting is very critical contracting. So is there anything you want to add before we close this out?
No, I just hope that what we came up with in this credential will truly be value added for our contracting professionals who are working operational contracting. So, supporting military installations out there. One of the things we talked about when we were putting together everything for the credentials, we recognize how fast paced and stressful operational contracting can be. And so we were just trying to provide certain areas that, may be gaps in their knowledge, hey, learn about these things and it'll kind of help you on the job. So we hope that that is the case. If not, folks can always reach out to me. I'm more than happy to, like, hey, well, how else can we improve this training? So not a problem. Folks can reach out to me with their ideas.
All right. Thanks, Cindy. I appreciate you coming to the show today to discuss the operational contracting credential.
Thank you.
Great. So if all you out there, if you're interested in taking this credential, CCON 024, the operational contractor credential, please look for the link in the podcast description below or in the iCatalog where information on these courses reside. So if you're listening to this podcast or video, please subscribe at DAU Media or YouTube or Apple Podcasts, please like the video for us so the algorithms out there know that there's people actually interested in this podcast, and they will send it to other folks that may find it useful. So please do that. And we look forward to having future contracting conversations with you.